Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everyone? It is Adam Caplan and Geoff Mosher here with Inside the Birds. And Adam, it's felt like quite a while, but we finally have a game to break down. Eagles up in North Jersey on Sunday to face the Giants, a 1:00 game. It's been kind of an interesting week for the Eagles. We know they've had to do things differently because of the intensive COVID protocols that they've been in. So we'll see if that kind of has any impact on the team. They're not the first team, and they won't be the last this year to have had to adjust their schedules. And I saw the Ravens on, I think, Thursday had to announce similar protocols, right? I think they had a player test positive as well.
Right. Yeah. But the Eagles had all their practice in. They got it all in, as you outlined for us. On Wednesday's show, they would just have Zoom meetings. They would not be able to have their team meetings, their position meetings at NovaCare, so they'd have to do them by Zoom. Okay, so you're doing it visually instead of right face-to-face. It's not a big deal. And it's not like they didn't have Zoom meetings in the spring, which we talked about a lot. So it's nothing new. It's shocking. It's I don't say shocking. It's when you see, because the Eagles have had a lot of luck where Mailata was on the COVID list 2 weeks of training camp. That did set him back, by the way, from a practice standpoint.
Yeah, him, Lane Johnson, and Gary were all on it at the same time.
Okay. And they came off rather quickly. Doug Peterson, we know, had it. So, but now they've got a coaching assistant that has it. So hopefully he'll be back real soon. But off we go.
Yeah, Marcus Epps also a player who's been on their COVID list.
Right.
I think
he's still on it. Actually, he's still on it.
Is he?
I think.
No, didn't he play against the Cowboys? Is he still on that? That's crazy. I didn't even realize that.
I'll look. I'll double
check.
No,
you might be right. Okay, we'll double check. While you double check that, and on the same subject, we had a very good interview, I thought, with Dan Graziano from ESPN. He helped us break down Eagles Giants, but he also talked about some of these COVID protocols and how the league has tried to pull it off. Dan's very dialed in, like yourself, with the league, the union. And good conversation there. We also talked about, what some of these changes that we've seen from the roster standpoint that may be carried over when COVID's gone, and we'll see what the NFL learns from this situation that they like and may want to keep. I personally think that the 3-game IR has been pretty good for the league. I don't see why they would change that.
Every personnel guy, that's the first thing you bring up is how much they love that. They do like the expanded practice squad. I would say, if everything's clean next year, if we have a normal offseason, I just know how. And the good thing is, from a league standpoint, the teams are using it because they have to designate whether it's a major or minor injury at the time of they submit the transaction, so that no one's taking advantage of it. They're not just putting some guy on who doesn't have an injury, and it does give some strategy because it's 3 games, not weeks.
Correct.
So it goes over a bye the bye week doesn't count towards the 3 games.
Right.
So there's some strategy. They love it because the worst is, remember, Geoff, before the change about 5 or 6 years ago, actually maybe more than that, before the old rules, like if you put him on IR, he has to miss the whole season, which sucks.
I know. It does.
It does. I mean, the guy's got a high ankle sprain. Why do you have to – you should be able to bring the guy back.
I agree. I'm really curious to see what stays and what is just a 1-year thing, and hopefully just a 1-year thing. We'll see what happens in the off season. So check out that interview we encouraged with Dan Graziano. It's up on our Inside the Birds YouTube and podcast platforms, along with Grillin' the Birds with Derek Gunn and Trey Thomas. Those guys were a riot this week. If you missed it, you really got to check it out. They had a lot of interesting things to say, specifically on Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, the whole Brett Favre situation. So that was pretty good. I know, a little crazy there. And again, just a reminder, Adam, myself, Trey Thomas, and Greg Cosell will be back at Goose Island Brewhouse this Sunday, 10 a.m. till noon for our Inside the Birds live pregame show. So look forward to seeing everybody. Come on out. Watch the show on the big screen if you want. Hopefully the weather will be good. Adam, you're like Mr. Meteorologist. I never know what's going to happen. So why don't you just give me an early forecast?
So for the game, it's supposed to rain the entire game. It's really odd. It goes from like single-digit percentage to 41% to start the game. And it looks like it's going to rain throughout the game. Wind moderate, 13 to 15 miles an hour. But it's the rain. It's not like Wentz hasn't played. He's actually played well in the rain before. It's not like he hasn't done it. But we'll see. It's always the veracity of the rain, how strong it is.
It's always the Giants, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Last year they played the Giants twice. I think it rained both games. Even the year before it rained at the
MetLife. The how strong it is, and also the speed, the velocity of it. So we'll see. As we know, forecasts can change and will change sometimes. So see what happens there. But I'm just looking forward to a game. I know it's a rematch, but I'll tell you what. We're going to get into it in a minute here. This Giants team is no joke.
No, they're pretty good. They're formidable. I'll say this. I think
competitive.
An NFC East game is always tough. I mean, the Eagles were down 17-0 last year in their game against the Giants and getting booed off the field. And that was one of those December games that was a must win. And then they came back and won. The Giants I think Eli started that game. He had a few connections with Darius Slayton and caught the Eagles a little bit off guard. They hit the Eagles where it hurt last year because they got them deep. Right?
Oh,
but
yeah.
They couldn't sustain it because they were really lousy. This year they're formidable.
It's funny, and it's funny you say it that way because I'll never forget when Howie Roseman said at the where did he say it? I don't know. There's no owners meetings, but wherever he said it, he said he was sick and tired of seeing the ball go over the DBs' heads. Well, that game was a perfect example of it. Or actually, both games against Darius Slayton.
There were like 10 games like that, but yeah, that game was a perfect example.
Right, but those particular because he burned them. And that put him on the map. And then in the first game, Darius Slay covered Slayton for a majority of that game, and he shut him down for the most part.
Yeah, we're going to actually have a really well-done telestrated video on Darius Slay's impact on the Eagles defense during our Sunday pregame show, thanks to our friends at Leverage Studios. So they did an excellent job. And we're also going to have a little telestrated breakdown of Jason Peters as well, because he really had a nice game against Dallas and did some things really good things in the run game at that left tackle position that will show during our Sunday pregame show. Yet another reason to watch professional telestration. Our friends at Leverage Studios do a great job. All right. So, and before we move on, if you haven't caught it yet before Sunday's game, you really should go back and listen to our bye week podcast where we took a broad bird's eye view, no pun intended, of the offense and the defense in separate podcasts. And then we did a really nice Ask ITB where we picked, I think, 10 really solid questions and stuff that we hadn't covered yet but needed to. And so all of that is available, right? All available on our podcast and our YouTube channel. All right, let's get into the injuries because the Eagles are getting healthier by the week. That is a great thing for them. It's a rare thing for them. So we'll start with the offense. Adam, I think for what we know now, getting those guys back at practice seems to me a very positive sign. I'm talking about, Isaac Seumalo and Miles Sanders and Lane Johnson, baby, and Alshon Jeffery and some of the other guys.
Let's start with, what we had said before their bye is that they were going to get a bunch of players back. We weren't sure exactly who it would be, but we had a pretty good idea. And it still is held up. Miles Sanders will play barring a setback with his knee injury. I don't know what it is. I just thought it was a minor knee injury. And he would be back after the bye. He is. And here's the big one. Alshon Jeffery. Okay, I put the asterisk on this one. I said before the bye, the Eagles expect him to play after the bye. He is expected to play as we drop this Friday morning. They expect him to play, barring a setback. Okay, let me just, because we've had ad nauseum, Geoff, people won't stop with these questions. If Travis Fulgham is their starting X receiver, that will not change. The only thing that'll change is who's backing him up. They haven't really had a defined backup for Fulgham at the X position. Jeffery will be it for how many snaps he gets. I don't know yet. I don't know if they know yet. Typically, these are decided after they watch the Friday tape, and they have their personnel meeting Saturday night, and they kind of decide, they narrow it down, who's up, who's down, and how many snaps certain guys will have, and the roles for everybody. So, no, he's not going to hurt Fulgham. Now, you'd said something on our other show, which I thought was very interesting, because you and I really debated this. Folks, if you haven't heard it, Geoff and I were talking about okay, so Jeffrey's going to be the backup, but were there other ways to use it? And I said I thought red zone would help them because of his history in the red zone and his length. So don't you think that's a reasonable area to put him in the red zone?
Yeah, I mean, if I were going to play Alshon Jeffery, I think that is a reasonable area to play him. I agree. I think we're going to learn a lot in this game about what we're going to see from Alshon going forward this year. If he is healthy scratch.
Wow.
then we know that he's not going to play.
I had not even thought of that, Geoff.
If he is active but plays 0 snaps, I will be convinced that they're probably not going to play him.
There's
right.
No.
Why would you take up his spot?
He's either inactive or he plays.
Right.
I don't. As of Friday morning, I don't know exactly how many. Not that they know yet. Nobody knows. But just from a conceptual standpoint about what his role should be, give him a breather when they think Fulgham needs to come out, and then you could play, because as Greg Cosell told us, they don't just play Fulgham at the X. Yes, he's their primary X, but they'll move him around. So they may line him up in the slot. He's lined up in the slot. He's lined up at the X position and the Z position. So that way, if you do that, you could get Jeffery in for a little bit, and then you go then you get obviously Goddard out there. Then you're going with 3 tall pass targets. So that's yet another thing, and we'll get into the matchups and what we think versus 11 versus 12. But so that's that. Lane Johnson, Geoff, his ankle's just not. It's not 100%. I don't know that it ever will be this season. He keeps aggravating it. By the way, they took the sprained knee off the injury report, so it's just his ankle now. He aggravated it in the last game, and then if he plays, this is my first question to you. I was actually asked this on 97.3 South Jersey on our 4:00 segment. If Johnson plays but has to leave the game, is it Mailata or is it Jack Driscoll? Driscoll, as of through Thursday's practice, looks like he's going to be able to play. I would think it'd be Mailata because he's not nursing an injury, but I don't know that yet. What would you do?
No, I probably would think that it's Mailata because he's been the healthy guy. He's been out there playing. Driscoll's coming back from an injury. That's this week. 2 or 3 weeks down the road, I have no idea. Jack Driscoll is a guy that they specifically like at right tackle. We've talked about that. And 2 or 3 weeks down the road, Mailata might already be back at left tackle, depending on what happens with Jason Peters. So with this team, you just never know. Either way, but I think to answer your question, the first guy off the bench as a swing tackle, I would think would be Jordan Mailata. I think even the better question, Adam, we talked about in the offensive review podcast is, okay, if they have to activate Sayamalo still on the 53-man by Saturday.
By Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, correct. Right.
Brett Toth is probably going to be we don't know, but Brett Toth you would think would be the odd man out because they don't want him playing right now anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Geoff, they have like 11 if they activate Sayamalo on Saturday. That before they cut anyone, they would have 11 linemen. They don't need 11 linemen.
No. So let's say Toth is gone. So now your backups are going to be Mailata, Driscoll. You still have Opeta on the 53, correct? Or was he elevated?
Yeah, no, he's there. He's still there. Yeah.
All right. Pryor. Okay, so that's 4. Mailata, Driscoll, Pryor, and
Juriga.
Juriga, right? There's no way they're going to have
there. Why is
he still
up there?
That's what I'm saying. It's just so odd to me that they're going to carry 5 extra. I mean, listen, I get it. They've been beat up, but you don't need 5 extra offensive linemen.
8 teams typically, unless their injuries, keep either 7 or 8 up on the 53 and dress 7 for game day. I just don't understand. Now, I do know this. There was a lot of heat to get Opeta from other teams last year, particularly Miami wanted him. So maybe they're scared of sending him back. So they're keeping him on the 53 so no one could poach him. Okay, that's fine. I'm sure that had something to do with it. I can't imagine anybody wants Toth. I just can't imagine it,
No. Or Juriga. I think you can probably cut either of those guys.
Or Huntley. One of the 3 of them would have to go.
Huntley ain't going anywhere, man. What are you
No,
crazy?
but what I'm saying is, from a logical standpoint, one of the 3 of them would have to go. The most logical would be Brett Toth because Huntley doesn't really have a role. Yeah, he plays maybe every game. He gets 2 or 3 carries. Okay, but
yeah.
So that's that. And then, Nate Herbig was added this week with a finger injury, but he's expected to play. He's going to move to right guard. Sayamalo will be the left guard. Obviously, that's the spot. By the way, Sayamalo, if he's activated like I was told and I've heard by multiple people, if it happens on Saturday, it will be the first time he's played since week 2, man. God, it's been 2 months.
And this game will be just the second game all year that Jason Peters and Miles Sanders are going to be on the field together. First time since week 3. But remember, Miles Sanders missed week 1. So week 2, was the game that they played together. That was against the Rams. And then week 3, they did play together until Peters limped off, right? That was the Bengals. If I'm
Bengals
not
game,
mistaken.
yes.
Yeah,
Dunlop
so
had,
that's
yeah.
that's the last time Sanders and Peters have been on the field together at the same time. It feels like 3 years ago.
Right. And then at corner, actually a couple things. Malik Jackson is expected to play with his quadricep strain. We know he keeps leaving games and early, but he's looked good when he's been healthy, or certainly looking good to play. LeBlanc is expected to play with his quadriceps injury, so he'll come back after missing a game. And then Craig James, this is really odd. Like, he was listed earlier in the week with a hamstring injury. Well, that's no longer listed on the injury report. It's now a shoulder. He practiced Wednesday, didn't Thursday, which means maybe it's a new injury. Well, it is a new injury because it wasn't listed on it. So they do need him, Geoff. They need him on the outside because if he plays, then Jaquette will not be brought up. He won't be called up. So.
Okay, so we'll have to see about that. So we're answering another question here, in my opinion, on inactives, because if Isaac Seumalo becomes activated to the 53, Brett Toth logically, it could be somebody else, goes, but then your inactives are going to be pretty clear. Jariga's probably going to be inactive, and probably even Opeta is going to be inactive because you only need 3 backups, and you'll have Pryor, you'll have Driscoll, and you'll have Mailata. So you'll have 2 guys right there who are inactive, probably Quez Watkins if Alshon Jeffery is going to be active.
Well, he'll be inactive anyway. Yeah, because JJ will. I assume JJ would be up.
Right.
And then Sudfeld. Sudfeld
will be inactive, right? And just trying to think. Oh, maybe even Huntley at this point. I don't know.
Or him or Kayvon Wallace. Yeah, and that would be it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we solved
everybody. Pretty easy. Yeah. There you go.
I know how much everybody was wondering about who was going to be inactive going into this game.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. But no, we've just done them for you. So here we go.
There you go. All right. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this game first. Let's remind everybody to check out PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fan experience with their coverage of all 4 Philly pro teams like nobody else. They even get some good coverage of the Union in there, enhancing the fan experience with their great content. For the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. You can also find them on Twitter at PHL Sports Nation is the handle. We'll pause real quick for a word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. All right, Adam, let us start off our matchups as we do every week, except for the bye week, where we do Eagles offense against the Giants defense. The Eagles offense did not really, I'd say, fulfill their expectations the first time around against the Giants. They needed Carson Wentz to be a hero in the final 5.5 minutes of the game, and they needed Evan Ingram to drop a pass that led to that. You kind of wonder, though, with the healthy guys back, like Rager back now, the bye week, Jason Peters back. Not everybody played in that game. Dallas Goedert back. I mean, this should be kind of like, I feel like it should be a coming out party a little bit for them if the quarterback is right? Yeah. I mean, this is probably their best set of combination of weaponry and offensive line this year, because even week 1, they were down to Driscoll making his first start at right tackle, right? And Herbig.
Sanders didn't play in week 1, right?
Sanders, yeah. So this has got to be that's why I say I think we're going to learn so much about the Eagles this game. All
right, 2 games ago, listen, this is how much things have changed since the first Giant game, like a few weeks ago. Mailata was the left tackle. Peters is back. Opeta was the left guard. Seumalo's expected to be back. Kelsey, of course. Herbig was the right guard there. And Lane Johnson started, but Lane Johnson did not. I do not believe he finished that game. In fact, he did not. And then Richard Rodgers was the tight end. Goddard was not back. Deshaun Jackson played in that game. He's not even on the roster. He's on injured reserve. Boston Scott started running back. Miles Sanders is back. I mean, that's unbelievable, Geoff, that just in 2 games. Look at all the changes.
I know. It's and all right, so I don't want to start off with running backs because I do want to get to something with Carson.
That plays in your point, though, Geoff, really well. Look at the facelift that their team has had in just 2 games ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 offensive. That's over half of their offense has changed since 2 games ago, but for a good reason, because they're all back. That's pretty good.
All right, that is good. So, again, that's why I feel like the stage is set for them to maybe have their best offensive output of the – well, I don't know if they're best. They had – well, yeah. Why not? I mean, it's not like they've had a whole lot of offensive.
Well, if the rain,
eruptions.
see if depending on how strong the rain, if it does rain and how strong it is.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a concern. But yeah, I do agree with you. If somehow it's passable weather where you can throw it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, and Rager now is bitten back. Goddard's been back. If they now, I will tell you. Now I know that Opeta started, Mailata started left tackle, and Lane Johnson didn't finish the game, and Goddard didn't play. And Goddard's very integral to the run game and blocking as a seal blocker. But overall, you're right, man. If they could protect, and I know the Giants D is playing well. Their line, man, Leonard Williams, from what I'm told, is really playing well.
He is playing well, yeah.
But if you could protect, you could move the ball against this team. Opposite Bradbury's, where they've had problems at corner.
Right. So I've noticed the Giants have the 5th best rushing defense in the league. They clearly have a nice little interior there with Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yep.
And Blake Martinez, their linebacker, is a tackling machine. So they do a good job against the run, but they do not defend the pass very well. I think they're in the bottom third of the NFL. And so obviously, the Eagles will have some opportunities there to strike some big plays if the quarterback has his issues corrected. Now, I want to get into this, but not really deeply. I just want your opinion and just to share a thought on it, because, I think, unfortunately, when things happen that are somewhat controversial, we become very polarized, where it's either one way or the other way. So I want to get back to the press conference that Doug had, where he was asked about the Brett Favre comments. Okay. I don't think you, and I know me, we have never been regarded as like the shit stirrers, for lack of a better word.
Hot take guys.
Or histrionic guys, right?
Yeah.
So I say that saying that while I'm watching this press conference, when the first question was asked about the comment, Doug Peterson's response was, "I respect Brett's opinion, but I'm just going to leave it, and I'll just leave it at that." I didn't think much of it, but I thought that was strange wording. Like, he could have said Brett's entitled to his opinion, but I Carson's my guy. He said, "I respect Brett's opinion," and Brett's opinion was clearly inflammatory toward Carson Wentz. So so I didn't, freak out about it. I didn't even tweet it.
I thought it was ridiculous. To be honest, I watched it live. Okay. And I go, and Doug, and he didn't say anything. And it's funny. I was going to call you immediately, but I'm like, let's finish this press conference. Maybe it'll come up. Les Bowen asks a follow-up. He just wanted Doug to be clear. And he gave Doug an out. Go ahead and say, but Carson's your guy. And you believe in Carson, and Knicks are along here, and that doesn't matter. He didn't do that. It's one thing to say, okay, you're entitled to your opinion, but Carson's our guy, and how far we go is up to Carson. He's got to play better, but he's my guy. He didn't do any of that. And then Rob Motti, God bless him, he
held his hand and walked him to the finish line with that.
I know.
Question.
I mean, personally, it's funny. I'm a big fan of Rob's.
Me too.
I would not have stuck up for Doug there. I would have let him handle his own business. But okay, you spoke up for. You gave Doug another chance.
Mm-hmm.
A
third chance.
Stunned.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
A third opportunity.
Exactly. I am stunned.
That's where it kind of got weird to me, is that when Les Bowen asked the second time, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close here. He said, "Doug, just for clarification, you don't agree with what Brett Favre said, right?" And Doug, that's when Doug had the chance to go, "Of course I'll say it again. Brett's entitled to his opinion, but he didn't." So I want to address this peripherally,
sure,
right? Because again, you and I are not hysterical. We're not hot take guys. We're pretty down the middle. We've attended 1,000 press conferences in our lifetimes. Too many. And we're almost conditioned to hear a question like that and a response of something like, "Well, he's entitled to his opinion, but this is my guy." Like, that's why we're not, for people who are killing the Philadelphia media or saying reporters are looking to be divisive or rip the team out. No, it's just
they were great to Doug.
Right. Your ear is trained to hear a certain response, that kind of question. And 2 times Doug's response was not conventional. Now, why it wasn't, well, you and I don't know. Maybe he just didn't get it, because sometimes Doug does not win the press conference.
Yeah, well, no, Doug is a little bit naive sometimes. Some people on Twitter said some things that weren't very nice, but look, I'll give you an example. So the ill-fated press conference after the season when Peterson was asked about Groh and Walsh, whether they're coming back. And remember, before he left, he leaves and he goes, "Oh, they'll be back." Well, we know how that Doug should have said, and he would later do this because he screwed up. I haven't, we haven't talked about coaches yet. We'll update you. Which within 24 hours, those coaches were no longer on the football team. Doug screwed up. I mean, he screwed up.
Right.
So he had a wonderful, and it's not like he didn't know that wouldn't come up. Of course he knew that was going to come up. Now, fast forward to this thing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Don't you think he must have known that was coming?
You know what, Adam? I don't know anymore. I really don't. And I don't want to say yes or no. I don't want to. If I say no, I don't think he knew it was coming, then I'm incriminating the Eagles PR staff, and I don't want to do that because I know them and I would think that they would be, but I also don't want to make assumptions and say yes. So I'm just going to say I don't know.
How the hell does he not know? I mean, he had to know.
Well, the point is, even if you didn't know, you had a second chance to be more definitive.
Oh, right, exactly.
And it took you a third chance.
Right. Exactly. Logically, knowing the way it is with the media, if I'm Doug and it's asked that way, I shut this down. Carson's my guy. Brett and I are close. You guys all know that, which he actually admitted, but we all knew that. And
right.
There's nothing here. There's nothing to talk about.
See, I think a lot of people may not realize that, and that's why it's important to reporters to ask. I don't know if people realize how that Doug and Brett are very close.
Yeah.
I don't know if it kind of connected in their heads that's why reporters were asking, because when you are so equivocal as Doug was and not really unequivocal and hammering it down, then all of a sudden it leaves open to speculation. Wait a minute, you talk to Brett all the time. You have a relationship with him. Has this been said before? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why Doug needed to chop it off at the head immediately. Brett's my friend. He's entitled to his opinion, but here Carson's my guy. The fact that he didn't made everybody in the world who knows that these two guys are close wonder, was something said behind closed doors?
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was bizarre. I would say if you go back to earlier in the season, when it comes to the quarterback, because then I know we're going to talk about Wentz against the Giants secondary, and we'll finish off the offense in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Doug rarely criticizes, but he was critical of Wentz early in the season when he was really struggling. Probably starting in the Rams game, Bengals game. We're going back a couple months here, but I do remember it's really for the first time he's been here, he was actually critical of the quarterback, and he looked frustrated. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I just think it's a little bit odd. I do think it's odd, his response. I would say totally out of character, but at this point, Geoff, I don't know what the hell to think.
Right. That's where I agree with you. And I think, again, as reporters, you develop a sense for things. It's not just this press conference.
Your bleep meter.
Yeah, you've noticed, and I've noticed, and I think we've talked about it in the press conference. I mean, in the podcast recently, that Doug seems a little more ticked off in the press conferences lately about the turnovers than Carson seems.
100%.
Carson's words about it aren't as strong as Doug were.
That's you and I, right? You and I I've not been happy. You were the first one to point it out to me, and I made sure I went back and watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Wentz will say, yes, this has to stop, but I got to be me, or and then he also said, oh, we're so close. He said this maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. We're close to where we need to be. He just, I don't want to say he doesn't get it, but I expect more from him. This is his 5th year. Yeah. I just would expect, I love when veteran quarterbacks put it on them. It's on me. I screwed up. Nothing else to say. I'll be better. Right. That's it. Move on.
Right. Even if, again, be accountable. Even if in your mind you think you can make some of these plays, just say, look, the difference between winning and losing games right now is I'm making some pretty bad decisions. If I change that, we win. And I'm looking forward to changing that. And that's the God's honest truth. We've talked about this. As lousy as they've played at times, they've been in almost every single game, and you go back to those turnovers that either took an opportunity away from them or gave it to their opponent. Go back to week 1, right? Perfect example. Mm-hmm. And that's really been the difference. You win the turnover battle, you more than likely are going to win the game. That's kind of the NFL. Yeah. Real quick on Wentz, because Ron Jaworski, our friend, tweeted out a really interesting statistic this week, and it was about how much time quarterbacks have had in the pocket and how well they've done versus not. And with Carson Wentz in particular, his tweet said that when Carson has 2.5 seconds or less to throw the ball, his completion percentage is up. It was around 60-something%, and his passer rating was pretty good. But when he has 2.6 seconds or more to throw the ball, his completion percentage is way down in the 50s. His passer rating is down. This defies logic. Ask any quarterback.
I get it.
You get it because you've watched it, but I'm just saying it defies logic. Usually,
it shouldn't be right. It shouldn't be
the
like
more
that.
time you have,
yeah. That's a bad. I'll tell you what. That's damning because it's damning in one way. It means he's not processing clearly, and it goes. We've talked about this every week. He stares down pass targets. He's not processing like he used to, because Carson's big deal. And the reason why he looked like he was going to be a star in 17, and in 18 he was doing a good job of it as well. Quick processor, takes the information in, sees it before snap, develops it post snap, and gets it to the right guy. This year, he's taken too long. He's waiting for the big play, and it's killing their offense. And that's why it's also because when you get to 3 seconds, that's too long. It's 2 point. It should be out by 2.7. It's a problem, and the hope is that because he's being shown this every week, eventually he's going to get it.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see. As again, Giants don't have a great pass defense, so it'll be it's incumbent upon Carson to really kind of capitalize on the weapons that he's got now. We talked about Miles Sanders coming back. I mean, I think that adds an element to an explosive element to the running game that they've lacked so far. Giants are good against the run, so this will be I don't know, it's going to be a good test because with Jason Peters and Seumalo back and Miles Sanders back, I don't care who you're facing. That's enough beef right there up front and enough explosion out of the running back position where you should run the ball. You passed along a stat sheet that showed that the Eagles so far have ran the ball at like 33% for the year, which is, that's pretty, even for them, that's not enough, right?
Yeah, it's they're asking Wentz to drop back a lot, and some of it is on Carson because they get behind and they got to throw. Fifth most attempts in the National Football League, drop back 67%. That's a lot. They're not real efficient with a run game, and then obviously a lot of it has to do with Sanders being hurt twice. Sanders has had 2 different injuries this year: the hamstring strain and now this mysterious knee injury. But that's not good. That they got to get Sanders going here, and also the Giants don't have great athletic linebackers. If the weather holds up, get Sanders involved in the screen game. Get Boston Scott, who, by the way, had the game winner against the Giants on that wheel route. So they got to do that. We've said all year, we've lamented this thing, man. Where the hell's the screen game?
It's got to be there. And I do wonder with Dallas Goedert back for a second game now. We talked about Dallas. He was against Dallas. He was used far more as an inline blocker.
Almost
they
exclusively.
ran the ball well against the Cowboys. He only had 1 catch. He only had 2 targets. 1 was negated by a penalty. I would have to think this is the game where you open it back up and he becomes one of your primary mismatches in the pass game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he absolutely is going to be used more now. Now let's get into this before we move to defense. It's important because we do it every week. This to me is an 11 personnel game. Why? You don't have Ertz. You don't have to worry about getting him in the game. Okay, Richard Rodgers. Right. If you saw the last game, they were heavy in 11 because why? Rager's back, Fulgham, and Ward. So you're going to see the same thing. Goddard should be used more as a pass catcher than he was in the last game by far. Also, because we'll see how long Lane Johnson lasts if he does indeed play. But with Peters and Seumalo expected back, Herbig's entrenched at right guard right now. Kelsey, of course, and Lane Johnson to start off the game. If all those guys are playing, well, you shouldn't have to have Goddard in as much. So, yeah, absolutely should be catching the ball more.
Now, in their first game, Fulgham had 5 catches for 73 yards. It's the only game he didn't have a touchdown. And I believe 30 to 40 of those yards came on 1 play. If you remember, we telestrated it. He was lined up at the Z spot. He kind of ran an out and up route and got behind the coverage. He made
it was a sluggo. It was a sluggo, I think. It was sluggo.
It wasn't a slant. He went to the sideline and then up.
Oh yeah,
so almost like a reverse sluggo.
It was God damn it, I remember
it was like an out and up.
But there's a that particular play, I will know it for Sunday if we talk about it.
It almost looks like a wheel. It's just not from the backfield.
Right. Actually, Cosell knows it, and I know because someone who graded the tape for me told me what the play was because he knew it immediately. I'm drawing a blank on it. But anyway,
I bring up that it
Yeah.
came from the Z spot.
Oh,
and that was
great.
his biggest catch because Bradbury doesn't travel. He stays across the X, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, what Cosell said is that they don't always travel him. Sometimes in that game, they did not very much.
Correct.
So it might have been the boundary corner. But anyway, Fulgham still led them in targets in that game. He had the 40-yard catch and run, which is beautiful. The out and up play, whatever we want to call it for now. And then Greg Warden he scored in that intermediate area. But the big thing in that game was Richard Rodgers. I couldn't believe how well he did in that game.
Yeah, and he probably won't even play in this game. That's so funny.
Well, he'll play, but
he'll play, but I mean, he won't be like.
He won't be a factor. He shouldn't be a factor in the pass game. Exactly.
Right. Now the Giants are beat up at their opposite corner of Bradbury. Aren't they playing either a young kid named
the
Isaac?
kid from Denver. I always call me Isaac Yankum for you wrestling fans. Because I don't know how to. It's either Yaidam or Yaidam, whatever. Yeah, he's now starting opposite Bradbury. They're not very good with their sub corners.
No, that's got to be a
Logan
spot
Ryan,
for Rager.
Yeah, Logan Ryan will move to the slot,
right,
in nickel, I believe. So Logan Ryan does not. The word around the league was the reason why he moved to safety with the Titans doesn't move that well anymore. So if the weather holds up, and I have to keep saying this because again, it's a factor. So you have to see if it does. If you protect, I'm taking my shots. And the Eagles now are going to be loaded on offense. This is and I think I mentioned this in another show, and I want to bring it up again because it's important before we move to defense. I had someone who played in the NFL I'm pretty friendly with who listened to our show for the first time, and he heard us talking about Wentz. He said, you know what? This guy didn't play quarterback. He said, listen, I could tell you from playing with quarterbacks before, when they know they're shorthanded, sometimes they try to do too much. He said that if Wentz knows he has everything around him, A, he won't have to force it, and B, he'll want to get it to his playmakers. I was like, all right, I'll take that at face value. You played the league. Okay, it's a fair point. How could I say it's not? So I said, I'll mention it. Thank you. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know, because we're all trying to figure out what is wrong with Wentz. He's clearly, everybody agrees on this one. He's trying to do way too much. Things that aren't there, he's trying. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going to add that I think this has the potential to be a pretty good game for Jalen Reagor, matched up against that Isaac Yadamov Yaidam. Sorry, Isaac Yaidam. That should be a good matchup where Rager's speed comes into play. So maybe even a decent fantasy play in a deep league. He might get a 55-yarder in there.
I do like Reagor for fantasy the rest of the way. In fact, it's funny. I have a big money league I'm in, and I have what do we have? 17 spots. I have 3 Eagles, but see, I have Fulgham. And I picked up Reagor. He was out there just to have him because if he starts going off, I want to trade him. But man, no one will take him because he hasn't entered the breakout game yet. So I'm hoping this will be the game so I can move him.
We'll see. Like I said, there will be opportunities for him. All right, we will get into the defensive matchup first. It's already started, Adam, but this Sunday will truly be a Sunday like no other. With this weekend's major golf tournament, along with both professional and college football, there'll be no shortage of action. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, wants to put you in the center of the action with so many different ways to make it rain. If you haven't tried the app yet, head to the App Store now because you don't want to miss this. To celebrate Sunday's action, DraftKings is ensuring all new users are covered up to $100. That's right. You bet they cover with risk-free Sunday betting on all of Sunday's action. This weekend, there's plenty of action to get in on, so head to the app now to start making it rain. And, man, Tiger already, Adam, he's on the prowl. You thought he was left for dead, but he had a really nice opening round. Now, my guy, Brooks Koepka's got to pick it up a little bit, but and DeChambeau, man, he really started off rocky, but then managed to recover. But it's going to be a heck of a finish.
It is weird though to see golf like the Masters
in November.
It's just I'm sorry, it's too weird for me. But you know what? I love golf. When my father was with us, he loved the Masters, man. It's one thing like watch with my father. I do miss that because we used to play together. That's where I started playing golf. Though I'm a tennis guy now. It's the kind of things that I miss, man. That and also being moved to this, it's kind of weird, man, to see these tournaments. Look, hoops were this fall. Baseball was longer.
Yep.
The NFL season right now, hopefully
Yep.
we'll get all the 17 weeks in so we don't have to have the expanded playoff.
Yeah, I'm the black sheep of my family. I think I'm the only guy in my family who likes golf. I'm the only one who can actually sit down and watch it for hours.
I suck
or
at
even
it
minutes.
now. I get so frustrated with it. You know, it's like you against the course. I'd rather do
definitely.
tennis. I'd rather do tennis, quite frankly, because I could
Well,
crush
hey,
the ball.
there may be some wagers you can place on some tennis if there's any going on. I mean, DraftKings has
Yeah, it's true.
everything
That's right.
for you to be able to wager on. So on top of those great sign-up offers, DraftKings will have special promotions and odds boosts every day of this year's tournament in Augusta, Georgia. You know, the one we're talking about. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. So download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code ITB when you sign up to get that can't-miss offer. DraftKings Sportsbook is insuring your Sunday bets up to $100. That's right. You bet, and they cover up to $100 when you use the promo code ITB during sign-up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino, risk-free coverage paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, we move on to Eagles defense against the Giants offense. And I feel like we have a similar conversation of, hey, you're healthy here. Your entire defensive line should be pretty set and ready to go against an offensive line that has really struggled this year. It's getting better. I'll say that. The Giants are doing a better job running the ball, getting Daniel Jones out of the pocket a little bit. But, I mean, this Eagles defensive line should win this match.
They should crush them. That first game was weird because they shut him down, which you would expect. Then I think it might have been in the third quarter. Was it Goldman who was doing well?
Yes, it was. Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, it was weird. And he scored. And then, of course, they had the crazy Daniel Jones run. I mean, that was an 80-yard run, which is when he fell.
I can still hear Chariots of Fire in the background.
That's very good. Are you old enough to remember Chariots of Fire?
You'd be surprised. I am old enough.
Yeah, very nice. For those of us over 50, we definitely remember it. But anyway, yeah, they should eat this game. The Eagles' D-line was good, but not great against the Giants. They're healthier. Hopefully, Hargrave, for the Eagles' sake, will take this game to the next level. He's getting there. We've talked about him a lot. Daniel Jones is a very aggressive thrower, and he makes a lot of mistakes. Sometimes there are some similarities between he and Wentz. There's no doubt. Wentz is more talented, but both are still going through turnover issues, particularly Jones, though, since he was drafted. The fumbles are a real problem. And look, they're going to get Will Hernandez back from COVID this week. So that'll help him. You know, it's crazy. I forgot about this. Tiki Barber was on the Ron Jaworski show with he and I. And Tiki was talking about it. They've been rotating on their offensive line with Hernandez out now. So this Shane Lemieux kid will go to the bench at left guard. But you know, Andrew Thomas, the word around the league is he's not ready to be their left tackle. It's going to take him a while, but he has to be. They don't have anyone else with Solder's opt out. So Geoff, the Eagles they got to dominate this from pillar post. They did not the last game.
Yeah, I would agree. I somewhat think that this is a referendum game on the Eagles. You're coming out of the bye. You're as healthy as you can possibly be. You're facing a team that you just saw a couple of weeks ago, so not too many surprises. You know, like if you don't, I know you're on the road. That's the one thing that you're not home. Although the road is not the same as being on the road any other year because there's not too many fans in the stands. Yeah. I really think that the Eagles have to look. I'm not saying they have to come out there and win 31-3. But this is a game where you're kind of looking for them to put up a 7 to 10 point win, in my opinion. I think that when healthy, when playing at the level they're supposed to be playing, they should be 7 to 10 points better than the Giants. They probably were last year.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
So, yeah.
But I learned my lesson. I picked the Eagles to win big in the last matchup. I was way off in that one. Just that's the fun. And plus, when you look at this situation, the Giants are so much better right now. They're really improved. Now, the Eagles historically, going back to Chip Kelly, dominate the Giants usually. Well, they win. Bottom line is they win.
Right.
So the Eagles clearly match up their D-line versus the Giant O-line. It is a matchup that you love, but doesn't mean they're going to get it done here. Gates is the kid who's their center right now. They who's been a little bit of a surprise. But again, the Eagles should feast there, and if they can get some turnovers.
Yeah, they should. Man, the Eagles get turnovers. Is that possible?
I know, but they could because Jones turns it over.
All right, so at linebacker, we're going to see Alex Singleton and we're going to see TJ Edwards. And if there's going to be a third linebacker, then we're probably going to see Duke Riley. I don't know if there's going to be anything cute coming out of the bye here. They were asked, who was it? Ken Flajole was asked about Davion Taylor during his press conference this week, his Zoom. And, what you got from it was I don't expect to see him on the field anytime soon unless it's a 30-point game in the fourth quarter.
He was a project with incredible athleticism. He played very few snaps on defense. This is what we told people after the draft. I mean, nothing surprised me. In fact, the only thing that surprised me is he actually got on the field.
Against the Ravens, nonetheless.
Right. I know, in that incredible play where he tracked the guy down. But they knew what they
Lamar
drafted.
Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar, right. Everybody knew, if you studied his past, he's guy, missed a lot of football in his career.
Mm-hmm.
Odd situation growing up about when he was allowed to play. But anyway,
right, his religion.
Good kid, hard worker, but he was a project.
Mm-hmm.
You get him in the offseason. If he's really getting it, you start playing him a nickel next year or dime. You start trying to get him on the field a little bit, not only at specials, but see if he could occasionally come in a nickel because he's so fast. Because it's a nickel game, Geoff. It's no longer a base game. Most teams play nickel majority of the time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where that's at.
So the Giants are probably going to try to, because they have a very interesting offense, right? Their best receivers are slot receivers, Sterling Shepard and Golden Tate, but they also have Darius Slayton. Wouldn't surprise me if they tried to throw a little 10 personnel out there themselves, using Ingram as kind of a wide receiver, right? And see if they can get the Eagles to put four corners on the field, because they had success throwing at Crayvon LeBlanc and to some extent Roby Coleman, but more LeBlanc, because LeBlanc at that time was the nickel corner and Roby Coleman had to play on the outside. Now it's different now.
Roby Coleman actually started on the outside in that game. I mean, just
second week in a row, I think.
I mean, think about it. He's almost a foot taller, Ingram.
Yeah,
think about
it's unbelievable.
So you're right. 10 personnel is a way to do it. Jason Garrett should be doing that. He needs to be flexible, and I would certainly agree with you there.
Yeah, so that's really the only matchup that I think that concerns you, right? For the Eagles is guys like Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard and Ingram against the interior coverage of the Eagles. So we'll see Jalen Mills probably stick Ingram a little bit more, but Ingram's played better. He did have another costly drop against Washington.
He also had a great
for the most part. Yeah, I was going to say he's been playing better. And he had a good.
Oh yeah, he's you know what it is. He's been healthy.
Right.
I'll tell you what. If Barkley was playing in this game, oh boy, because he would kill these linebackers. I know they're doing better lately, but he would kill them. He has killed them in the past, but you don't fear these giant running backs. You love them. You would pray, please come out running. If I'm the Eagles, you would love that. But Jason Garrett is one of these balanced guys. We'll see what his approach is in this game. With Tate back, remember he had the one game suspension. Well, they had him inactive. It's really a suspension for popping off about getting the football. And good for Joe Judge to do that. You got to
wait. Was it a game? Was it a game? I thought it was just a practice that he got.
No.
Home.
He didn't play last week, dude.
I didn't even realize that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I love that. It's absolutely the right thing. You got to hold these guys accountable. Because think about this: if you let him play after he popped off and his wife popped off about.
What did his wife say? I missed all that.
Yeah. There was in social media.
Okay.
So they had Joe Judge was aware of it. Just to refresh the memory for people who didn't see it, he talked about he mouthed off about not getting the ball, and Joe Judge, the disciplinarian, obviously he coached under Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, and he did the right thing. You have to set your example. You and I know about the George Hegeman story. For people who remember George Hegeman, it's a similar story. George Hegeman popped off about his contract. What did Andy Reid do in 1999? He made George Hegeman after practice push the blocking sled, then he cut him the next day.
Yeah, all over the field pushing that blocking sled.
Right. And that's what you do. Or it might have been 2000, whatever it is. You got to set the example for your program in the first year. And Andy was a MF, man. His first year, was my first year covering the NFL. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I didn't know I didn't know much, but I just remember how he changed the culture there. And he was a tough SOB, but obviously he's a sweetheart of a guy. But nobody knew that because nobody knew anything about him when he came here.
No.
And then as the coordinator.
As we found out from Jamal Jackson and Trey
yeah.
Thomas, that it wasn't just 99. Like behind the scenes, he was gonna get up in your rear end if you're gonna slack off. He was gonna get on your ass and say.
I remember. I've never told this story. This will be very quick. There was I won't say the player, but Andy, when he had personnel control, maybe in the first couple of years, maybe it was 02 is his first year getting it. After Tom Modrak left, he got involved in a contract negotiation. The agent told me he got on the phone and he got real salty. He goes, "Okay, I want to know right now, are we getting this the bleep done?" And I was like, "Okay, all right," because he's a Mormon. I don't know if he's got, and I remember Ike Reese telling me, "Oh, he can get after it, man." The players would tell us over the years he can do that. So
yeah. I remember once having a private conversation with him, and he said, "Jeff, I am Irish. I've got an Irish temper."
Oh, did he say that?
Like, well, that explains it. Yeah.
Big Red. Okay, makes sense.
Big Red. All right. So that's Eagle. I think we've gone through the D-backs, the linebackers, the D-line. So this is this.
I'm playing Ingram for fantasy. I'm playing Ingram all day. I am not playing Darius Slayton. He and Jones have not been on the same page. Jones missed him for 2 touchdowns against the Bucs. Actually, he might have beat the Bucs if he could have hit him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing Gallman. I don't trust him. We'll see about Devontae Freeman, who's got the ankle injury. He's still not right. He's not healthy with it. I like the Eagles D for fantasy this week. I do believe they're getting better. As you said, they're healthier.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz, I'm benching. I have Breeze or Wentz. I'm benching. I'm leaning towards benching Wentz this week. I'm not saying he can't do one. I thought Jeff's right about setting it up. The plays were there to be made because their offensive line's going to be back. But the weather is a little bit of concern. And again, you check your lineups on Sunday morning and see what the weather, if it's changed. But I don't know that I trust Carson to not turn it over right now.
Carson has cornered the market though on having like a crappy game and finishing with like 250 something yards and 2 touchdowns and an extra 25 rushing yards. But you're right. The turnovers, if you got a -2 in
-2, yes, exactly.
That can be really detrimental.
It is bothering the bleep out of me with the turnovers because it looks bad when you're watching. But he gave me 22 points today. Oops, -4 turnovers. I only got 17. That's the problem that you face right now.
All right, the holidays are among us, so make sure you're getting 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using that promo code ITB. Get your lawnmower, your weed whacker, your crop care kit, your Manscaped Refined Cologne, your crop cleanser, all of the great stuff, and the crop mop. Don't forget that. All from Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Just use that promo code ITB. Save yourself a lot of money over the holidays. Lord knows we're all going to need to do that. All right. Time for our favorite segment here, the prediction, where you and I, fall all over ourselves trying to figure out how this game is going to go. Adam, Draftkings, right now, our friends at Draftkings have the Eagles as 3-point favorites. However, they feel it's going to be a somewhat low-scoring game.
So do
with a total of 44.5. And I'll tell you one number that jumps out at me also. If you're like a skeptic and you just don't believe in the Eagles, and the Giants were this close to winning that game last week, the Giants are plus 150 on the money line. So you can really double up your money pretty well there if you're feeling confident that the Giants are going to win.
Yeah, so I have it low scoring. I have it Eagles 20, the Gents 17.
Eagles 20, Giants 17. All right, that is a low scoring game. So you would take the under.
Yeah, I'm not. If we had normal conditions, if I knew the weather would be clear, and Wentz been playing well, I think the Eagles could put up 30 points or more against this team. I learned my lesson the last game. Until Carson plays a clean game from beginning to end, you just can't feel confident that the offense is going to take off, despite they could have a Super Bowl offense. But until the quarterback plays like it, and this one ex-player told me, I thought, as I said earlier, maybe he relaxes more. He doesn't think he has to do everything, just process. Let the offense work for it, because I like their game plan against Dallas. He just didn't execute very well. I like the pre-snap motion, and we're going to get into some of the motion numbers on Sunday. We got some good stats for you. But overall, Geoff, just to finish this off, at least where I'm at with this thing, they'll be good enough to win, but I don't trust their offense yet because Wentz has not played at that elite level or even close to it yet.
I am exactly where you are. Now, I mean, like philosophically, where I have talked myself in this podcast into really thinking the Eagles should come out winning this game by 7 to 10 points, because I think with all their health and coming off the bye and being rested, they have an opportunity to really turn a corner here. But I'm not predicting that kind of score. And I've just to remind people, I had last game, I predicted the Giants to win 21-16. And I think the score
21-20
was 21-15 until the Boston Scott touchdown. Then it was 22-21. But I was very, very close to hitting that thing on the head. And it's funny because I had people ripping me on social media for picking the Giants and how can I can't get, and by the way, you can't ever win because there are so many times I pick the Eagles and they lose, and people are like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you such a homer?" I'm not a homer. I'm just.
I love that. I know. I love that.
I thought the Eagles were going to win.
So people got on me on Twitter about I wouldn't criticize Wentz. I'm like, so the one dude
are they listening to our podcast? I know,
and I said to the dude, I said, "Do you listen to our show?" He goes, "Yeah, you guys, because you in particular never criticize." I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, I can't take it."
That's mind-boggling to me.
I'm like, "What are you talking?" I was like, in fact, I've been so hard on him. I mean, I almost feel bad, but it's our job to point out A, what we're told, and B, what our eyes tell us, and B, what we know about the quarterback position, which is a lot. This year we even talk about more than ever because Wentz has struggled. I mean, we all see it. It's our job to say it. I mean, we're not going to go, he sucks. We're not children here, folks. We're truth tellers.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I can't tell you how many times I've discussed that stretch of 4 games against Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona, and even throw Cleveland in there. They're decent. And said that's going to be a whole lot. That I could see the Eagles maybe only winning one of those games.
Well, Cleveland's defense is so feast or famine. They're going to have a chance because they have one good corner, Denzel Ward. The other kid's on
Greedy
IR.
Williams.
So
yeah,
Greedy Williams. So they're going to have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, for the Eagles' sake, it's good that Chubb's going to come back either this week or next week. Good for the Eagles' sake. The Eagles have a good run defense. It's that stretch of games against Green Bay, Seattle, New Orleans. Oh my God. God. I don't know. But you never know if the quarterback rights himself, and knock on wood for the Eagles' sake, if all these players are coming back, stay healthy, who knows?
Right. So here's what I have as a score. Yep. And I'll tell you what I have, and I'll tell you what's going to happen. I have the Eagles winning 27-20. All right.
You're always high, dude. You're always higher. Always high.
Well, yeah, but you got to admit, for me, 47 is not very high for an NFL game.
Well, how could you with the way that the Giants' offense has struggled?
Yeah.
How could you feel like they could score over 20? I just, I don't see it.
Yeah, 20 points is fair, and I think 27 is fair for the Eagles. It's not like I'm giving them 34.
No, but if I knew, again, if I knew that Carson was in the right frame of mind in terms of playing the game, executing the right way as he should be, instead of trying to force everything, let the passing targets play for you, man. They're all there now. They're all going to be healthy. They don't need Deshaun Jackson to score 30 points a game. They got so much talent on offense right now with Sanders coming back, Rager, Goddard. It's all there, man. I mean, it's all there. Just do it.
So I'm picking the Eagles to win 27-20. What's going to happen is the Eagles are going to be winning 27-20 with maybe a minute and a half left in the fourth, and then the Giants are going to drive the field and score a touchdown and make it 27-26. They're going to go for 2, and they're going to get it to win 28-27.
Oh, they get it.
Basically the reverse of what I picked last time when I had the Eagles, the Giants winning by almost a touchdown, and then the Eagles came back and sunk me. So that's what seems to happen. No, I have the Eagles winning 27-20.
We shall see, but it's going to be a fun ride this second half. This starts the second half of this game, and we look forward to watch us on Sunday. If you can't get to Goose Island Brew House, watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Cosell and Trey Thomas are phenomenal. Geoff just told us about that video. We're going to have a video breakdown from Dan Hatman. Is it Dan Hatman's company?
Well, the company is called Leverage Studios. I mean, Dan's a part of it, but yeah.
Okay. We
Leverage
appreciate
Studios
that, and
do a great job.
We always have scoops on Sunday where I don't hint anything on Twitter. I mean, I gave out the Sanders stuff on the who the hell's the other players coming back? Oh, the Seimala stuff, but on our show. But we're gonna have some stuff about some kind of things you might see that are a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is gonna be fun, man. This is gonna be a great stretch. And it's the first time in I don't know how many years that the Eagles had a bye right dab smack in the middle.
That's right. All right. The next time you'll hear from us will be 6 a.m. Monday, as we'll have the game recap podcast for you. Hope everybody enjoys the weekend. That's going to do it for Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. Check him out on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.